Hey, what is going on, everybody? How are you doing today? Hopefully everybody's having a great Friday, right? Hopefully you've had a great week so far. But today is another episode 9, I believe, right? We're already at episode 9. So episode 9 of MillenniYell with Billy and Mel. So hopefully you guys are having a good one. Like I said, what we're going to be talking about today is something really important, especially in the world of social media, especially in the world of people going for their own goals and their dreams. We're going to be talking about comparing ourselves to other people, right? And we all do it. We're all guilty. There's nobody that's going to be watching this that hasn't done this at some point. So we're going to get right into it. But before we do that, for those that don't know us, right, I'm Billy Zerillo. That's Mel. We're here to yell a little bit with you guys about this topic. And like I said, if you're going to be jumping on the live, because we are live on Facebook right now, you can definitely comment who you are, where you're from. We'd love to give you a shout out. If you're watching the replay, do the same thing. And you can also check us out on a lot of different other platforms, right? iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, SoundCloud. I mean, I don't know if I missed one, Mel, but how are you doing? How has your week been so far?
Everything's great. I have some new additions here to my office. Look, you don't look like you're in your typical room either, but no. I got some decorations here. I got more plants, and I'm feeling productive, but I'm also glad that it's Friday.
Yes, to say the least, right? It is Friday. We made it, folks. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm at the home office today, so I had to do some clerical work. So just decided to come in here today and get a little stuff done. So, not as many distractions here, TV, all that other stuff. So can get a lot done here. But let's get right into it, right? Let's talk about it, because it is a big subject. A lot of people struggle with it. It causes a lot more issues down the road because people are, you get that mindset. But let's talk about, comparison. And I'll throw it to you first, right? Where are you seeing some of these issues kind of pop up?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're definitely seeing social media here be a huge factor in comparing ourselves, because we're looking at our everyday lives and what we're going through, and a highlight reel is what everyone says is it's a highlight reel of other people's best pictures, best things that they want to show off, achievements, awards, and things that they're doing, whether it's personal or for their business. We all like to put that out there, some more than others. But I think that social media has really added to that, especially with the millennial generation. We are definitely, we compare ourselves more to our peers than any other generation. And I think that is big, because I think that it starts to lead to, feeling less adequate, or, obviously anxiety and depression, a lot of things that mental health that our generation also is one of the generations that has the most of too. I think that is a huge factor in that plays. That go back to like technology, right? Love-hate relationship with technology, millennials.
Yes, no,
what do you think?
You hit the nail on the head. It's just, that's what I'm seeing too. It's just, I remember going to college, right, and really hearing about Facebook for the first time, right? And so that was 10, 11 years ago. And so to see what it is now, right, what it's become, especially with like the Instagram and you see all these people, and like I said in the caption, we're often our own worst enemy, in the sense that we create a lot of things in our heads that really don't even exist, but they feel real to us. And so I think comparison is definitely a huge thing. And there's multi-billion markets built on comparison. I mean, if you look at the model industry, you look at the fashion industry, you look at, all those industries that are like that, they're, what was it? Cosmo always had the magazine, right? And it was like, comparing yourself to other women and stuff like that. And so, it can definitely be a source of, I guess, misconfidence, right? Like it can damage your confidence in yourself. But, I think it comes down to a big thing is that we have such this mindset of being perfectionist, right? And I know you that's near and dear to your heart, that word perfection, right? And for me,
and the goals,
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the standards. We set so many standards for ourselves and strict expectations of ourselves as millennials. And I think that, you see all these things, and for those expectations, you're immediately, I mean, we all do it. It's actually natural. It's a human nature. I mean, it's not just millennials, obviously, I mean, it's a human nature, like, response, but I think that it's an immediate comparison of your own life and your accomplishments. And we definitely have to get away from that for sure. But I saw something that said obsessive comparison disorder. It's a compulsion to constantly compare yourselves to others. And it was funny because I do think that exists too, unfortunately.
It definitely does. And it just doesn't exist like in body image or just or clothes or anything like that. But I mean, it's business related, it's money related, it's relationship status, right? I grew when I was going to school in the South, in the deep South. I was in the University of Alabama, and if there was always this running joke with the Southern girls there that if you weren't married and had kids by the age of 25, you looked crazy, right? And like, girls would get married to guys that they necessarily wouldn't have gotten married to because there's so much pressure,
right,
to be like everybody else, right? To be normal, whatever normal is.
Sure, I think there's so many pressures that that we're in this sprint, societal, deadlines of, hey, you got to do this. I was the same way. I mean, you have no idea of responsibility and what, and as a teenager or even younger, preteen and stuff, what happens when you're in your 20s and your 30s, and even when you're in your 20s, you don't really sometimes know. But yeah, you're right. The pressures that are out there, it's like we're all in this sprint, and I've done it in different aspects of my life, to been impatient and wanted to get here now. And it's really you think about it being more of a marathon, and I think trying to take away that need to do things from those pressures.
I was just thinking about it when you were talking about marathon versus a race. I can't remember who quite said it, but someone said that there's only one finish line in life, and it's called death, right? So that's the only finish line we have. So the marathon analogy is such a great, because it is a marathon. Everybody wants to get to the destination so quickly, and they're often willing to do whatever it takes to, good or bad. But, another thing that I think that is kind of unique to millennials, maybe not so much the generations after us, because there is a push to go away from the normal college world, right? But if you didn't go to college, right, it was like, what's wrong with Billy, right? And then especially, I remember, like, kids are going to community college now, and it's like, that's a normal thing. But when we were growing up, like, community college was like, you're not going to community college. Like, everybody's going to think something's wrong with you if you went to community college, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, and I think that there's different, things change as far as what's the norm, or what's the cool thing, or what's hot right now, or what everyone's doing. And I think that you see it just goes back to, obviously having the confidence, I feel like, in yourself. We could talk about that, but you see things where social media plays such a role, is you're seeing a friend, or maybe someone that's not your friend, and and that's why you're comparing, but in certain aspects, but they get a new job, or they get married and they have this huge diamond ring, or they get a fancy car, or they're traveling to these places, and you're seeing all these things on social media that it starts to, it's so easy to see all of these things these days that other people are doing, and things that you don't have, sure, that I guess that you're, and if you're working to, it can really start to affect, it can have like a damaging effect, I'm sure, make you lonely. And obviously, like you said about, suppression, but I think spending too much time on social media and looking at other people's things, you can pick it, you can choose to do that. It was like an average of, it wasn't millennials, but it was an average person. It's like 5 years of your life that you spend on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So the 5 years we're going to spend looking at other people's, and I'm, crap. No, but good things and bad things. But to think that we're going to spend 5 years, in that situation of comparing ourselves is something that we got to stop now.
Yeah, and it even gets worse too. Like if you're having a bad day, right? Because I've done this, and I've had a really bad day. Business didn't go the way I wanted it to, or just life in general, right? And then you see that person that is not necessarily like a foe or somebody that you dislike, but they're in the same kind of part of
friendly competition.
Yes. And then it used to, and I'm going to say it used to, because it used to just like completely ruin my day. I would just shut down, what am I doing this for? Like, why am I getting, why am I'm not having the same success as other people. And, a big thing that kind of switched it for me is that realizing, and we talked about this before, is realizing that you're not on the same path or part of the journey as that person. Like,
right.
You might start a new business and be really super successful at it. That's because you have a big sphere of influence, where I might have started a business, right, and not have a big sphere of influence, and I have to grow.
Or this money.
Yes.
That's part of issues of mine with websites and with getting things done, that you're comparing yourself to other people who have invested a lot more money even, or time. It's been double the amount of time that you spend too. So yeah, you're right. You're not in that situation. You can't, it's not an even comparison at all, obviously. But I think that also it's that we have to ask ourselves too, is this exactly reality? The things that we are looking at, is this okay? Whether it's about the material things, the travel, the fancy, that's fine. Or even when it comes to business things, and it's, people that are getting achievements, or they're getting to a certain place in their business. Well, how did they do that? Or there's a lot behind it. And I think that we have to start to ask ourselves, it's not always just that facade. There's a reality behind it. Does it only exist on social media, or are people only putting it on social media to make themselves look a certain way? Yeah. And then if we start to really just check ourselves, and that's what I do a lot of times, is, is this really accurate? No, this isn't really who, this isn't really what, this isn't really that. And that kind of takes me down sometimes,
Yeah. Too. Well, I mean, like you said, it's just like, how real is social media, right? Like you said, all the stuff that people are posting. I mean, there's businesses out there that will let you rent a plane to put in your backdrop, of your photo shoot. Even though, like, you walking out of the plane, you don't own a plane, right? Person doesn't own, this person doesn't own a plane, but they're making it seem like they own a plane. Yeah, Yeah, I was gonna say, because then you're like, well, I think it all comes down to what you define as successful, right? I think that's a big thing. And for a lot of people that don't have a clear kind of vision what that looks like for themselves, any vision will do. So they'll see, like, they'll see the guy with the 6-pack abs and he's ripped, but you don't see all the other stuff that guy has to go through on a daily basis, right? Like, you just see the end result. And I think that's a big thing. People, we're so craving the end result that we're not willing to go through what it takes to get to the end result.
Right. Well, you made a really good point, because we're seeing the great abs and the this, and you're comparing yourself. And I think that a lot of times we lift people up, when we see great things about people, or one or two things. Like, we think that their life they have no problems. They have all the money. They have all the success. They have like, when we see that one thing, we think that's how everything is with them, or with people. And I think it's just because there's one thing that's going on that's great too. you're comparing that to one thing, one aspect, and maybe you don't have those abs, but you have, A to Z of everything else that you just don't, that's just the abs, but there's all this other stuff that same person could be feeling the same way about you in other aspects too.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. If you think about it, like being grateful for what you do have, because yes, I might not be like, I'm 5'6", so I'm not super tall, right, for a guy. So I'm very envious.
You're taller than me.
I see any guy that's over 6 foot, 6 foot. I'm like, oh my God, I wish I was 6 foot. But then there are other aspects of my life that I excel in that they don't excel in.
Right.
And so, you have to be grateful. I think that's a big thing about comparison, is that if people who aren't grateful for the things that they have tend to find, we talked about this, validation, right? We're looking, I think we're looking for that validation of like, well, if I can get what this guy has, or get what this girl has, right, or get this award, that's going to validate me. And then I can post that on social media and then have everybody Google and over it.
Right. And why do we need those things? I think it comes back to obviously being grateful, but also having the confidence. Like, you have so much confidence. I feel I'm a confident person too. And I think that when you look back at, and comparing yourself, working on your confidence and the things that you love about yourself, that's going to trump looking at other people and feeling like you don't have what they have. You have to say, well, I have this and I love this about myself, and and knowing who you are and that confidence. I just think really I've seen I've seen that in different aspects of my life. I had a friend and a mentor and somebody who's 4 successful businesses, and he really gets me, and I think where I've been in my life, and told me years ago, Melissa, you have to be content with where you are. And I wasn't. I was always trying to get somewhere else. I was always trying to achieve this, these goals that I was making. I was living over here, and here was where I wanted to be. And I was never getting there. And you know what? I never would. I never would have if I didn't stop and start changing my mindset. I had to change my life. I had to change a lot of my life and what I was doing, and saying, I'm okay with driving this car and it's not the BMW that I would love, right? Or I'm okay, making this amount, like paying off my debts because I'm going to get here someday. Like, I'm okay that I'm not, that I'm on version 1.5 or, about my website, that it's not that. And that's also about that confidence and that gratefulness. Like, it all full circle comes together, because I think being okay with what you have and grateful and content and all those things, you're going to want those things, sure, but it'll come with time and work and all those things.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, something that you kind of hinted on, and it's something that I tried to pride myself on, and going back to being perfectionist, right? You want everything perfect. You want your life perfect. You want your business perfect, right? Perfection is unrealistic. It doesn't exist because we're imperfect, right? So we're not perfect. So we can't achieve perfection, but we can achieve progress. And so, if you think about it like this, if you choose progress over perfection, you're going to be a lot more successful, and you're going to be a lot more happy with your results, because if each day or each week, or, I say this, if I can get better each day, that means I'm going to get better each week. That means I'm going to get better each month, right? And then better each year. And so that's one of the things I wanted to bring up, was just, we talked a little bit about it, but trying to compare yourself to yourself, like a year. Did I get better a year from, 2019 Billy is 2020 Billy a better version, or progressed more, right?
Right. Yeah, I love saying that, progress over perfectionism, because that's kind of what I had to do, and that mindset that I had to make was saying I'm content with where I'm at, and making little small feats of success, even in just my office here. Like I was able to put up shelves, put some plants up for weeks and weeks and weeks. I've been wanting to hang up things, and I put it off, and it's a bad example, but the little tiny bit that I did, and it was progress. Like I tried to do it all at once. That's one of my problems, is I want to do it all. I'm impatient. I want it all now. And I need to step back and have little feats of success. And I've been doing better with to-do lists, like, we talked about. And I love that. I think we should definitely should push that, even more, like really push that. Let's hashtag that. Let's coin that.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're only in competition with yourself, because
right.
Ultimately, I think it comes down to having clear vision of what you want to do, what your goals are. Because like I said before, if you don't have like your goal for your business is to do X, right? But if you don't have that goal, you look at everybody else that has your business model and you say, well, I want to be like their business. And then you meet somebody else and you're like, well, they really run this well. And so you keep changing your business model and never making any progress, right? Instead of saying, no, this is what I want to accomplish. And I think for so many people, they go throughout life without any type of goals, without any type of, ambition, without any type of vision. And so they see everybody else and they're like, well, that I'm nothing like that person. How am I ever going to be successful? How am I ever going to accomplish the things I want to? If I don't look like that, right? Or if I don't have the Mercedes Benz, right? Or, it comes down to, I think a lot of us worship things that aren't necessarily good for us.
Right. And the idea of success, like you said, I didn't get to touch on that, but you're right. I mean, it's a lot of people, it's money, it's making a certain amount, it's things, it's, everyone has different ideas of success, but it's what you're right. It's like what you, I guess what you say, worship, but I always said that, that it has to do with the FOMO. Obviously, like, what is this a millennial saying here? Slang, fear of missing out. But we started years ago using this FOMO, and it's just about obviously wishing that what is going on with your friends. Wanting to do these things. I probably had FOMO when I was 15 years old because I was grounded my whole high school career and couldn't go out because I lied and all these things of typical teenager. And I couldn't go to the parties because there was no parents and there was no this. And I had this huge FOMO, but you know what? Everything was going on and it was so great. Friday, Saturday nights. And then Monday came and it was like, who cares? It's a new week. No one cares. No one was talking about it. It was off to the next thing. But, we still have that at our age, I'm sure, just with people. And like we said, whether it was, what they're doing, where they're going, and it's this feeling of missing out from something, of those expectations that we've set on ourselves, those pressures. But yeah, I have some stats. I thought maybe I would ask you who you thought millennials compare themselves most to.
So is this a generation, or is this just compare themselves in what am I looking for?
So I could give you the 5 categories of who, and see who you think that they do it most
do that.
Too. Okay, so we have work, colleagues, partners, so significant others, friends, family, and celebrities or influencers.
So what's the top one, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and give the generic answer. It's got to be like influencers and celebrities.
What? No, that is the least one, actually. How funny. It's friends. Friends is the top people that we compare ourselves to as millennials. And family and work colleagues are tied for the next. And then it would be our partners, which is kind of weird that we compare ourselves.
The last one.
Yeah, I guess it's also where they are in like maybe their careers and who knows. But yeah, interesting that you thought it was celebrities, influencers, because I do think that also talking about social media, influencers, and it's not just bloggers. I think it's people, especially in the women. Okay, so women obviously compare themselves to women more than men do. Okay, let's be honest. But But with our generation and a lot of the influencers and things that are going on in that category, I would think that that's brought out a lot more comparing yourself to others as women, as far as, like we said, beauty and things and makeup and fashion and weight and all those things, because there's so many of these different type of influencers when it comes to those categories, I guess I would say. I know that there's influencers who are doing great about in a lot of other aspects, but I'm just wondering too that if that had something to do with it, because I think for women especially, but if you're a business owner or you're in a business, you're doing something, this is interesting. We can't get away from social media because we have to be on it for business if we are doing our own social media for our businesses to promote it, or your job. So it's hard for us to get away when we're on it all day too. And sometimes it's subconscious. I think sometimes it's just seeing things, because there was something that said that only your mood can change, and you're just not instantly, but let's say it was 5 or 10 minutes from being on Facebook and seeing other women, or comparing yourself, and it could change your mood. So that's hard as people who are have to be on social media. You can't really get away from it. It's just how you let it affect you, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, really quickly, you brought up a really good point. Men and women compare themselves against completely different things. Like, I'm not looking at another guy's clothes and saying, oh, I like his clothes or something like that. Like, I'm comparing myself to his status, right? Or what he has, or, like cars, or just other things in his life. But yeah, I think that's an interesting topic too, is just how from female to male, because like you said, I think millennials are a different generation in the sense is that partners really don't compare each other, because we're not looking at the same things, I guess. And then also really quickly, you talked about how it could change your mood. I mean, if you look at all the super successful people, what is the one thing that most people do when they first wake up in the morning? What do you think is the first thing that they're picking up?
Right. Sure. I think,
and it's going through the
they say not to do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so all these people are saying, if you want to start your day off right, don't get on social media the first thing you do. And so I try. It's not always super successful. I'm not perfect every time, but for the most part, I try to do something else, first thing in the morning, whether it's like affirmations or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Not partaking in social media, because like you said, with our businesses, we're going to be on it a lot because we're reaching out to people, we're posting things and stuff like that. So it's important to be on social media, but it doesn't need to be the first thing that we see in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it can record, you can see things. It's just like the news. Like if you see stuff that's negative, it can have an impact on your day. And I just think if we're focusing on what other people are doing, we're not being grateful for what we have that day and starting off our day, with confidence and all that, of course. And I think one thing I wanted to talk about, you'll like this from a financial financial advisor aspect. In one of my networking groups said one time that they were, maybe it was 50, 60-year-olds. So it's obviously our parents' generation, but, and the boomers, but it can definitely lend to millennials. I think that trying to keep up with the Joneses. So there's people who are trying to keep up with their friends and the lifestyles of other people as couples. I mean, it's a joint effort sometimes, right? Yeah. But that they're going through their savings and they're not saving basically, which is, a whole nother conversation, because they're trying to just impress their friends and have this facade, like we said, and it's not even on social media. It might just be in real life that they're trying to make, themselves be able to fit in and compare and keep up with these people, right?
Yeah.
You've probably seen that.
No, it's funny because I can't remember who said it to save my life, but they said something to the effect of, I have to go to a job that I hate to pay for the things that I didn't want to buy to impress the people that I don't even know. So
I've seen that.
it's like when you say it like that, it's like that's crazy, but people do it
Right.
all the time. I mean, people are
Right.
buying stuff as we speak that they don't need to impress people that they'll never meet, impress people that they don't like, right?
Right.
For what? At the end of the day, for what? Right.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. Well, and you know what? That should have been although it's my week for the meme, millennial meme. That would have been a good one if you had found that. I would have been okay with swapping.
Well, that's a great segue to the end of the show, right? The millennial meme, guys. It's that time of your week where we get to entertain you with our meme of the week, and it usually has to do with our conversation. And so I'm excited. I see a little snippet of it in the production room, but I don't know exactly what it says. But I'm very interested to see what this is.
Well, I think on a positive note, what we should all work towards is the wolf. Everybody that can't see that, if you're just listening, yes, we are on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes.
We're on all
these things, like you said, right? I don't compare myself to others. It's a wolf with his fangs out. I compare myself to my goals. Yeah.
I love it.
Mic drop.
Mic drop,
everybody. Confidence, baby. Because I think too, we talked about all these things, sure, that people do and why, and almost what not to do and how it can affect us. But I think the main thing to do is trying to just focus on yourself and your goals, and whether it's hobbies or talents or all the good things that you have and that you do, and thank yourself, like praise yourself. People, I come across people too that say, you are doing such a great job. You need to acknowledge yourself. You need to and that's what I fault myself for. I don't want to say fault myself, but I don't do enough, is saying, wow, look at where I've come. Wow, look at this year. Maybe we should make a list. Maybe we should all make a list. Everyone that's listening, let's all make a list of where we are today. And I guess it's going to be difficult because of COVID, but I think that we should all have tried to, make some good changes for ourselves throughout this year. Let's make a list from maybe 2018. I don't know, 2019. What do you think? And 2020. And I think we should share these. Okay. And then I think we should make one for where we are now. And then we should do it again next year.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree. And, something that I'm going to do today is definitely, I'm going to write myself a letter, right, to myself, to the future self.
Okay.
And tell them, everything about what happened, and kind of, go along that route of writing myself a letter saying, hey, this is how you grew, right? You did all these things. And so, but writing a list, almost like an inventory list, right? Of just, these are the things that I've, strived for, I accomplished. These are some things that I want to change, whatever it looks like for you guys. But inventory that's a great thing to do, is inventory your year so far, audit your year. Because if you haven't done that, right, you don't know what you need to fix. You don't know what you need to improve on. And it's just like anything in life. You need, in order to fix something, you need to know it exists. So that's such a great idea. I love that. And so people should definitely comment on here, drop us your list. You can message us on Messenger, on MillenniYell, and drop us your list. We would love to see what you guys have that hopefully made some headway for you guys. So yeah, definitely, That's awesome. So. Yeah. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for jumping on today. It's another successful episode of MillenniYell with Billy and Mel. Like I said, we talked about comparison today. So obviously, if you're doing that, there are plenty of resources that you can go online to find out how to not compare yourself. We talked about a couple of them: having a clear vision, being grateful for the things that you have. Right, a lot of those things you can do on a daily basis to shift your mindset. But, guys, if you haven't yet like this page, right? Make sure you do that. Share this page. Check the little follow box. It'll let you know, hey, when we're coming live. But like always, same time, same channel, every Friday, 12 o'clock. But before we get out of here, Mel, leave us with some awesome advice, wisdom for the weekend, for the week ahead.
Yeah, I think we should just all be that wolf in that picture. I think we should, attack our goals. And no, I think this was great. I had a really good time because I know I've done it. I've compared myself, but it's one of the things that I've really tried in the last couple of years. I've changed a lot about myself personally and professionally. So great. I loved it. And not much going on this weekend, but Monday night, we're going to be having a new Why Not Yell with Mel. And a friend of mine that I've known for many years, we're more acquaintances, I would say, but got divorced. And we are going to yell about some of the, the stigma, the goods, the bads, where we're at. Obviously, I did years ago, and we're gonna yell. So if anyone would love to do it, we're gonna be live, and we're gonna have some wine, so you can too. And it'll be a good time Monday night.
Well, awesome. Well, yeah, definitely check into that, guys. You'll see some posts about that, so to remind you. Also, I promise, guys, we will be having an episode here soon of What's Brewing with Billy. We're working out some kinks to get our first location, so we're going to see how that goes. But we will be having that here relatively soon. But anyways, guys, we hope that you enjoyed the show. We hope that you have a really good weekend. And like always, make sure you're making good memories this weekend. Spend some time with your family. Spend some time with your friends. And don't compare yourself to anybody. Just have fun.
No. You do you, boo-boo.
All right, guys. Have a good one.